So many real men in Eastern Europe, they wear these turtlenecks on a night out. It's what I've noticed. So let's find out in today's Vodka Podcast with me, Connor Klein, what exactly is a real man in the Eastern Europe by Ekele. Привет из Kyiv. Greetings from Kiev in Ukraine on a quite pleasant and warm June evening. It's summer 2021. After all this mess of the coronavirus lockdown and stuff, not that it really affected us here that much in Ukraine, but it affected you trying to get here. Summer has kicked off, so it's a good time to consider also getting over here to Ukraine. So in today's episode of the Vodka Podcast with me, Connor Klein, I'm going to be explaining what, maybe this is something you've heard before, an expression used by many Slavs, which is a real man. And what is a real man, or nastoящий muzhik? What is that, and why you need to know what it means, and how you can apply that just quite simply on a date here in Ukraine, how it's going to increase your chances as a Western guy coming here to Ukraine, Belarus, or Russia and dating the beautiful women of Eastern Europe. So what I'm trying to do with this video is give you a primer on real man mindset, as I call it, which is an important element to being successful here with dating in Eastern Europe. And I go into that in a lot more detail along with lots of other things on my premium dating course, Slavic Seduction Secrets. It's down below on demand. I'll go into a little bit more about that later. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to give you a very, very brief outline of what it is and how you can apply that on a date. So at the very least, you have that if you come here to Kiev, Odessa, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Minsk, somewhere else in the former Soviet Union this summer. So in the West, I think we have a bit of a stereotype about the real Russian man, or Russian guys, or Ukrainian guys, or Eastern European guys in general. They're a little bit rough, uncouth, unsophisticated, a bit rude mainly, maybe. And I think that comes from a very different cultural dynamic. What's perceived as rude by us in the West is not seen as rude here, and kind of conversely, what's seen as being polite and good mannered in the West quite often is seen as being weak as a guy here in Eastern Europe, and that can turn a lot of women off. Now, I know you don't want to do that on purpose. You're actually just being considerate, but that's the first thing about a real man is, for better or worse, he's not super considerate. He is not asking the girl what she would like to do. Necessarily, he is leading, and that's a key word you always hear me say in these videos on YouTube. You have to be able to lead. That is the first essential element. Real men, they lead. They don't really consult. And if you're starting out dating, that is basically the dating culture here. The guy sets up to date, he organizes. The girl basically just has to show up at the right place, the right time, looking pretty. That's basically all she wants to do. And as a result, and you're probably aware of this in the culture, there's no going Dutch or anything like that. Real men, they organize the date, they pay for everything, they create the entire experience. So, first element of being a real man is, of course, leading. And that can be something that, you know, for many of us who've grown up in the West, where maybe the women are even contributing towards the bill, maybe even paying for it 50-50 or whatnot, then they get consulted. That isn't the case here in Eastern Europe in general. It's extremely rare the woman's going to offer even to pay on a date. So as a result, you are the one who leads everything, organizes, because at the end of the day, you're actually the one paying for it. So that's the first thing in the real man mindset is leadership. You are leading, you direct, you pick the restaurant, you pick the time, the place, whatever. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. That's a little bit cliched maybe, but and I'll go into that later on in the video. But you pick the place and the plan, and you organize it, execute it, and pay for it. That is your job on a first date, or basically all dates almost. I would say it's a long way into the relationship here in Eastern Europe. So that's the first thing is a real man mindset is leadership. Number two is abundance mindset. This is something that probably, if you looked around here in YouTube and other YouTubers, content creators talking about dating, is the abundance mindset. That if you come here, like a lot of Westerners do, with a relatively scarcity mindset, like basically the women here are a lot more beautiful on average than you're going to find in the West, and you look like you've never seen a pretty girl before in your life, and these women are all amazing specimens, and you know, you're pedestalizing them because they're so amazing, then you are going to look like you have a scarcity mindset. So real men the real man mindset here is one of abundance, and that's pretty natural because if you are a high status guy from Ukraine, Russia, or Belarus, and you live here, then you have all these beautiful women around you all the time. So by definition, you actually have abundance by virtue of that. And if you're coming with a scarcity mindset, like you've never seen a pretty girl before in your life or never had one on a date before, that is going to be oozing out of you, that scarcity mindset, in many different ways. Basically, you're going to come across as very needy. You're going to pedestalize the girl and basically start doing things like, trying to impress her too much or doing everything for her straight away and making her feel like basically you don't have any better options in your life. Like she's such a big deal. And guys who are here have a real man mindset, especially a lot of Russian, Ukrainian men who are successful, have money, have status, look better than the average, although, as I say, another podcast I'll link up above and down below, that looks are not super important here in Eastern Europe compared to the West. They have abundance. They can replace all these women, basically like that, because they have such amount of selection here of beautiful women. So that is the second element of a real man mindset, is abundance. Now that's, a lot of people say just fake that. It is pretty tough to fake. Just subliminally, you're going to give off the vibe that you really need someone. So you're going to have to work in that a good bit. And because of that abundance mindset that guys have who are high status here, probably high status anywhere in reality, but we're talking about the real man mindset here in Eastern Europe, is like they feel like if they give their DNA, like get a girl pregnant here, that she's the lucky one, not that they're the lucky guy because they happen to procreate with his girl, and she is the lucky one, right? She got his DNA. She gets probably access to his resources to bring up the children. So that is a very different mindset, and women are attracted to guys who have other options, who have other high quality options even more. It's called pre-selection, and that's what a real man has in abundance. Now, just before I segue into giving an example of how you can apply this practically on a date, I want to give you just another little pointer from the mindset of being a real man here, and that is that the women qualify themselves to the man. So if they go on a date, they're not going to be qualifying themselves to the woman, like trying to prove. It's an extension of what I was talking about abundance mindset. They're not going to be proving to the woman, oh, I'm such a big catch for you. Look how great I am. Please pick me. They're going to be like, yeah, you have to qualify yourself to me. Why should I be interested in you as a woman, right? And that's definitely a very mindset. That's a big mindset shift from what I see. Most Western men, when they come here, they get, I guess, how to describe it, they go fuzzy-eyed or something when they see the beautiful Slavic women, and they start to just think that they have to prove themselves to them, and that's in reality not a good mindset. Maybe they should be, but it's not the mindset that you should have if you're going to be successful here. So a lot of times, and this goes to guys just being, I guess, a bit boring on dates. I mean, most guys are predictable, let's be honest. About 97% of the time we do the same bloody things. So they ask a lot of like interview style questions. Definitely a terrible idea. But the way to think about it from a real man mindset point of view is that the girl is the one at the interview. She's the interviewee, and the guy is the interviewer. So that is the mindset that a real man has here, that basically he is the prize, not the woman. You might say that's quite an arrogant stance to have, but this is the mindset that a lot of successful, high status, a real man have. And even if they're not even high status, just the Russian, Ukrainian guys give off that vibe in general. So they're the 3 pointers for you to think about, as I said, as a primer for real man mindset. So now let's apply just those few pointers on a real man mindset to a dating situation. You've met someone either online or here, maybe when you've already come to Ukraine or Russia or Belarus, and you want to go out and see where this goes. No! Look who it is!
Hi!
Irina Fedchenko just happened to be walking past.
Yes, also making a video.
Exactly, so we have the same ideas in mind with cameras and stuff,
yes.
So pretty cool. So after that short interlude discussing with Irina Fedchenko, awesome YouTuber from here in Kiev, who has a channel in Spanish. I'll link it down below, so go check that out if you can speak Spanish. Se hablas castellano. And yes, let me explain to you exactly what on a date if you want to take out a girl like Irina Fedchenko, a pretty Ukrainian girl. Wow, the first thing is, as I said, you need to lead, so you need to be picking the restaurant with the date location. I think for the first date, you don't want to overinvest either, so I always say either go for what I call actually the Gisele Bündchen rule. So Gisele Bündchen, I actually watched an interview with her where she's talking about when she was single. So Gisele Bündchen, if you don't know who she is a very famous supermodel. She's a, I don't know, centomillionaire entrepreneur on top of it, and she is married to Tom Brady, at least when I'm making this video. And he is, of course, a huge star in American football, very successful guy, athletic, good looking, whatnot, right? So she described that when she was going for on dates when she was single, she hated going for dinner. Why? Because she had to commit to a certain amount of time without really knowing if she was going to like the person. So I called it the Gisele Bündchen rule. Coffee or cocktails on the first date. Get a feel, get to see if you like them. You set up the location, time, you pay for it, boom. That is the first date. If things are going well on that first date, you can escalate it up to like what I call normally the second date, which is like you pick, you could go to a restaurant if you want, or you pick something that's going to be more interesting to do, a little bit more active, like go to a museum is always a great one to do. But basically you plan already what you're going to do if the date is going well, or if it's a second date where you can go. And can also be a restaurant. I'm not against restaurants, but I don't recommend starting with them. And then as a third date, do something, of course, organize something that's going to be fun, that allows you to show your passions. Like maybe you like, I love to take the example, you like scuba diving. I'm not a big fan, I get nosebleeds when I do it, but fine. And that's your passion, then you take her out for a day scuba diving. It could be anything that you are passionate about. It allows you to really bring out your personality. And the important thing to remember here is that you're sticking to that real man mindset. You are leading, right? You also have an abundant mindset, right? You don't need to try to over-impress her as well, over-invest in the beginning by making all this like amazing first date experience, bring her to the most expensive restaurant, all that kind of shebang if you don't know if you're actually going to gel with someone first of all, because you have abundance, you have other options. And thirdly, you basically set the frame that she should be qualifying herself. So you're not doing all this but setting up, like say, the third date by going something that you're passionate about to impress her, just giving her a great experience and bringing her into your world and your frame. And that is how a real man sets up a date here in Eastern Europe. So that is a quick primer and a practical example how I would structure dates. You know, if I was meeting someone here in, say, Kiev this summer, and if you want to go deeper into this, I'm actually going to have a second video coming up after this one, which is about Slavic mentality, intelligence. This is the second element you're going to need that's really key to being successful here with dating in Eastern Europe. We just had the first one, real man mindset. You also need to have Slavic mentality, intelligence. It's kind of emotional intelligence that is relevant to society here, not just dating, everything here in Eastern Europe. So I go into that in the next vlogcast. In the meantime, if you're planning to come here, you know, this summer, or maybe it's sometime in the future watching this video and you want to go deeper into the subject and really put yourself in the best position to succeed, you know, in your dating life when you come here to Eastern Europe, then down below there is a link to my premium dating course for Eastern Europe, which is called Slavic Seduction Secrets. It's on demand. You go in there and you're going to learn how to create a power itinerary to figure out which cities in the region are going to be the best for you, so you don't waste your time coming to the wrong place this summer. On top of that, you're going to learn how to create the perfect date, how to, you know, figure if the girl's a gold digger. We have a gold digger test also to see if the girl is a good long-term fit for you, because she could be a great person but just not the right one for you. So I don't want to see you invest, you know, years of your life, your time, your emotions, and your money into the wrong type of person. Also going to go into how you can best meet high quality women here in Eastern Europe. That's all down below. Go check it out if you want to, you know, get my expert knowledge. I've been here for over 10 years dating in Eastern Europe. I don't know how many hours I've spent on dates, actually. Maybe it's in the thousands at this stage. So don't spend thousands of hours figuring it out like I did. Slavic Seduction Secrets down below, and you'll be able to streamline that and get yourself sorted for when you arrive here in Eastern Europe. So I mentioned there at the end, I gave you obviously my structure for the 3 dates. A little bit controversial, maybe the first one, to go for, you know, that Gisele Bündchen rule and just go for the coffee or cocktail. What do you think? Do you think you're going to lose some girls? Because this is one of the questions I was asked when we did a live Slavic Seduction Secrets. Do you think you're going to lose some good potential matches or opportunities to go on a date with some interesting women because you don't overinvest in the first date, and maybe they just don't come out because they don't think it's an interesting enough offer, or do you think that's better to just screen out those kind of girls? Let me know down below in the comments your thoughts. And you know, the sun is already basically set here, so I'm going to get in and enjoy the evening here in crazy Kiev, Ukraine. Do побачення, до свидания. See you in the next video where we go into, well, the next podcast where I go into Slavic mentality, intelligence. Ciao, ciao.
SAR Experience.